Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I've been thinking about starting one after making use of that library I pay $50 a year to use at school. And today I want to talk about something that's been in all stages of the left with big scary quotations around it for about over 100 years or so. Alexander Berkman. Berkman, for those of you who don't know, was an anarchist activist in turn of the century New York. A lot of people know him for being a lover of Emma Goldman's or his assassination attempt on Henry Clay Frick. Like Goldman, he was a Jewish immigrant from Russia. He lived in Rochester with some friends, including Goldman and his cousin artist Modest Stein. Everyone in the house worked for rent and living expenses except for Modest, who worked on commission. The flat was like their own small commune. Everybody shared their income. And whenever there was any extra to go around, Modus would buy some more supplies, which irritated Berkman. But even worse, sometimes he would go and buy flowers, which positively incensed him. It was this attitude that eventually drove Goldman and Berkman apart as lovers. I mean, now it's 2019. We're past the days of Johann Most and the men sneering at Aunt Emma for dancing at a party, right? Listen, I'm not saying that this is about enjoyment of content by problematic people or with problematic ideas. It is a topic that I have thoughts on, to be sure, but that's not today's topic because that's just a whole other thing. And I'm not saying that this attitude is solely toward the product of tankies. I'm not trying to start my channel by being super sectarian. And really, to be fair, when you read a lot of conflict theory, when you listen to all the problems inherent in capitalist society, depression really starts to crush you. If you're watching this and you've probably seen Philosophy Tube's video on suicide and mental health, where he says that mental health professionals sometimes call this shit life syndrome. And if you haven't, you really should. It's great. But hopefully, what I can get across is that dancing can sometimes be the best form of rebellion. Now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, we can get started. I think there's kind of been this trend in leftism where genuine enthusiasm of any type of social change can get stifled, and honestly, I get it. I'm a college student, and for the past 4 years, I've had a biology class every semester, and every time, at least once during that semester, the professor has stared off into space, talking about how globally fucked we are. We're in the middle of a mass extinction that, even by the most conservative estimates, is already just staggering. We overprescribe antibiotics to the point that they could become obsolete in coming decades. And of course, we're nearing a point of no return in climate change, in no small part because fossil fuel companies value the profits more than the lives of their children. So far, the only solution I've seen for this is just to absolve ourselves. Oh, it's the corporations doing all the damage, not us. There's nothing we can do. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. And while there's truth to it, it's never done anything to assuage the fear. Really, it just compounds it. The planet is being murdered, and short of direct action, there's nothing we can do about it. But direct action is almost impossible due to government intervention. It took years for direct action to work in Germany for something so seemingly trivial as a forest not being clear cut for coal. I catastrophize a lot. It's part of the anxiety thing, I guess. So I really do understand where these people are coming from. It's really hard to enjoy your life while waiting for the fall of capitalism when your brain is always on, but let's kind of rewind everything back a little. I think we first of all need to think about the common thought in capitalism that we always need to have our brains on, always have to be doing something. They're extracting labor from us even when we're off the clock. TV's rotting your brain and all of that. And video games and reading fiction and everything non productive we do. Why do you think that people queue up a whole long playlist of philosophical YouTube videos to watch when we never get all the way through because a fine compilation shows up in our recommended bar? In fact, if you stayed through this far, I'm super impressed because that was so much dread I threw at you at the start. And this attitude, is especially prevalent in this generation because we don't have enough money to pay our bills in a normal full-time day job. So we get side hustles. Lyft and Uber and DoorDash usually, but also unfortunately pyramid schemes. And then we cycle through full-time jobs because with the capitalist isolation paired with the fact that we're never getting paid enough, we're constantly exhausted, but if we rest, we're treated like pieces of shit, especially by older generations, who are big fans of blaming our poverty not on stagnating wages with rising employment requirements and skyrocketing tuition, but on Starbucks and HBO and Netflix. Capitalism has collectively hardwired everyone in our culture that not actively doing or producing something is seen as a waste. And this includes political outrage and environmental outrage and reading long, obscure, 100-year-old text translated from another language written by mediocre men who just don't know how to shut up. Oh, and by the way, people who call themselves anarchists who make themselves superior on an issue because they've read, aforementioned, hundreds of pages of word salad by dead guys are missing the point of no hierarchies. So, the first and easiest rebuttal to all the people that say leftism can't be fun is that having fun is inherently anti-capitalist. Refusing to do work, enjoying yourself, enjoying your favorite TV show, drawing for the hell of it and not on commission, and generally doing things for yourself can easily be seen as a revolutionary action. It's honestly the easiest form of praxis we have. I'm no psychologist, but I can easily shove some bullshit about taking time off breaks, your conditioning by your employers, and the capitalist machine in there. Really, a little bit of skepticism is good for you. Ask, why do I need all these productive habits if it's not generating capital for anyone? My next argument on this whole train of thought is more about optics, honestly, so maybe it's not as strong. Killjoy Leftism just makes us look like pretentious assholes. I'm sorry. It makes us look like a bunch of 80-year-old nuns ready to slap the rest of every left curious person because they retweeted a shitpost. Do you know why the most beloved anarchist icons are White Santa Pyotr Kropotkin and Dancing Queen Emma Goldman instead of notorious grumps like Berkman? Because they were nice people who tried to enjoy themselves instead of saving all the fun for the fall of capitalism, or sometimes deciding never to have fun because you can't very well have fun in communism according to them. And yes, protesting is important, activism is important. But what are the images a lot of leftists put forward? Outside of pride, a lot of it is pretty grim. Unless you want to make your protest more conventionally appealing, which can get pretty iffy pretty fast, and I think we need to put more forward an image of our future, which I hope at least can be a little fun instead of being so dour about how things are right now. One of the more sucky things about being a leftist is that it's so hard to discuss your political leanings in a polite conversation. Because for the past 70 years in America, the word communism has been associated solely with gulags in Soviet Russia. And for the past 50 years, anarchy has been associated with the writings of a 19-year-old trying to get out of the draft, so he compiled a bunch of open access army handbooks. One of the best models of communism is literally Star Trek, one of the most popular media franchises ever. And a lot of movies and episodes across the series, they literally talk about disposing of money and scarcity. We really just need better PR to stop the scaremongering about communism, but the Killjoys sure as hell aren't helping the look, and it really makes it harder on us to recruit. And the last argument I'm going to make is that if you, the Killjoy, have stuck with me this far, this attitude is horrible for your mental health. Personally, I have depression. I've had it since I was in like third grade, and I've had anxiety since I was in 10th. I'm not saying to just stop thinking these negative thoughts and any issues you're struggling with will go away. Mental health isn't easy, but I am saying that by keeping this attitude, you're contributing to a feedback loop. You feel bad about the state of things, so you So you say that online, so your followers agree with you or even give you new information about how bad things are. So you talk about that, and that's why we need to end capitalism, and it just keeps going. Like I said early on, I catastrophize like that. There has been times I've woken up in the middle of the night because I have a dream where I get what seems to be a normal infection, but none of the medications work and I die because of antibiotic resistant bacteria. Sometimes you just need to put that thinking on something resembling a back burner. This is a real life problem in a lot of activist circles. It's called resistance fatigue. Over years of protests and political action, no matter how important they are to you, you just burn out from all the negativity. And no matter what sect of leftist you are, I don't want that to happen to you, to a comrade. And the institutions literally rely on people getting exhausted and moving on from an issue. You can keep at it longer if you have something else to live for, and nothing pisses off the machine more than a dance.